Hello guys, welcome to a new video of the Fischer series. Today we look at round number 1 of the Candidates Tournament of 1959. And we actually see a queen sacrifice on the board. I mean, that's amazing because this tournament is really prestigious. We have 8 of the best players around the world competing to win and then challenge the reigning world champion Michal Botvinnik. Those players contain Bobby Fischer, Michal Tal, Smyslov, Gligoric, Tigran Petrosyan, Olafsson and Paul Benko. Top players. I mean, they're all phenomenal and we'll see a lot of great games after this. Fischer has the black pieces, Keres is white, and let's just dive straight into the game. The game starts with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, and knight c3. So the open Sicilian. Here you can play some kind of dragon setup. E6 is some kind of French Scheveningen. Knight c3 the classical or the Najdorf. And Fischer really loved the Najdorf with a6. Now, there are a lot of moves possible as white as well. I mean, books have been written about this opening alone. But Keres plays bishop to g5. Now e6, f4, bishop e7, queen to f3. So this is all mainline theory. The idea is to castle long, black castle short. White will attack on the king side and we will attack on the queen side. So now Fischer plays queen to c7, and with queen to c7 we're preventing this e5 push, and we're also taking control over the c4 square because the bishop really wants to develop there. After queen to c7, Keres castles long. Now knight b to d7, getting more control over the e5 square and also defending our knight. And now mainline actually goes g4, but Keres here plays bishop to e2. It's a bit of a sideline, because if you play g4 here, you will play b5, bishop takes, knight takes, and g5. Knight has to go back. And here the best move is to play f5. Well, are we not just giving away this pawn? Well, after bishop takes with check, king to b1, now we would play knight to e5, attacking the queen, queen to h5. And after queen to h5, the bishop is under attack, so we have to defend it. But now we have an amazing move, knight e6. I mean, that's amazing, because we cannot take it back. And after bishop takes, pawn takes, we still cannot take the pawn, because our bishop would be hanging. So the best move is just to castle. And after takes, I mean, it's still not clear how this game would go, but this is actually a really nice sideline. It didn't happen. Keres played bishop to e2, and after bishop to e2, Fischer just starts his attack with b5. And now bishop takes. We cannot take back with the bishop. The bishop has to defend the d6 square, because after bishop takes e5, bishop to b7, we would have knight takes. We cannot take the queen because then we are forked. So after a takes b5, knight takes b5, we would have this amazing fork here. So you have to defend the d6 square. So after knight takes f6, Keres plays e5 anyway. But now d6 is defended. So after bishop to b7 attacking the queen, the best move here is to play queen g3. Because obviously we're under attack, so you have to move the queen. But here, Keres played e takes f6. Just giving away his queen. I mean, that's so badass that I just put this picture of Keres with his glasses on. I mean, it's so amazing to just play this in round number 1 of this amazing tournament. Just giving away the queen. And here, Fischer says, okay, I will just take your queen then. And after bishop takes, now we took the knight, we took this bishop for the queen, so 2 pieces for the queen, plus 3 for Fischer, but the bishop is under attack and the rook is also under attack. And here, be honest to yourself, would you move the bishop back or move the rook? Well, honestly, I would play rook to c8 and save the rook and then take this pawn after pawn takes. But what actually happens after rook to c8? After rook to c8, f takes e7, queen takes e7. we have one amazing move here for Keres, which is knight f5. We cannot take it, because then we have this pressure. Okay, so what do we do then? Well, after queen to f6, we have this fork coming up. And your rook will get lost. Okay, but what if we didn't bring the rook to c8 and, for example, to b8 or to d8? Well, then after takes, we still have this fork. So you cannot bring it to d8, not to b8, not to a7, not to c8, like the line I just showed you, and not have it stay on a8. So the rook can go nowhere here, which is crazy. So that's why the best move here is to just take the pawn. After bishop takes a8. Now Fischer played d5. But d5 is actually not the best move. I mean, it's the most logical move. We're preventing the bishop from going back, right? But better would have been to play queen to c4. Playing aggressively, attacking the knight twice. So what do you have to do? Well, you can play a knight to e4. Because then after bishop takes, we have this fork. So you cannot take then. Okay. But what about knight to e2? Just defending. Well, then we have bishop takes, knight takes, and b4. And now you have to move the knight again. Knight to b1. Really passive. This pawn is hanging. The a2 pawn is hanging. We can play d5, block the bishop now. And this is just a better position for Fischer. So queen to c7 is actually the best move. He didn't play that. Fischer played d5, blocking this bishop. And here the best move. Keres actually took the pawn. But the better move here is bishop c6 check. Because after bishop c6 check, we're checking the king, king to f8. Now we can play knight to e2. And after bishop takes, knight takes, we're still defending the bishop. And you cannot simply take it. Look at this king, how weak it is. The rook is very weak. White's rooks will come in. His position looks way better here. So that would have been better. But Keres actually just took the pawn. And the game continued. Bishop takes, rook takes, e takes d5, knight takes d5, and queen to c5. Attacking the rook and the knight. 2 pieces. First Keres gave a check. King to f8. And now he plays c3 because the rook's defending the knight and now the rook's defended as well. And Fischer here, well, the engine says it's equal, but his rook's really passive. The queen cannot do much damage on its own. So how do we actually continue? Well, since we cannot castle, we have to activate the rook another way, so h5. Fischer wants to activate it like this. Now, f5, rook to h6, f6, g takes f6, so now we have doubled pawns and this pawn island. Knight to f4, so the rook cannot activate like this and come in. And it's also attacking the pawn. h4, so it's not attacked anymore. Rook d8 check. King to g7, and now rook to e8. But rook to e8 is actually not a good move. Because now with rook to e8, we're giving Fischer time to come in and give some checks and have his queen on a better square. Queen comes in check, king f2 check. And now you have to bring back the knight, otherwise we would just take the knight on f4. Rook to g6. g3, f5 to make a square aloft for the king. Because after check, we can bring the king here. Well, can we not just give another check? Well, then king to e7, rook takes, f takes, rook takes, and now this amazing move, h3. You have to play h3, because then we will take this pawn. It's really hard to defend it, and then we will slowly make another queen. So Keres actually did give a check, but he didn't play rook to d6. He just took the g6 rook straight away. Pawn takes, doubled pawns now. And as you can see, it's a knight and a rook, but white has 1 pawn more. So material-wise, it's equal, but those pawns are really weak. If we take both of them, those pawns are passed pawns. No one is defending them, so it's a really hard position for Keres. After the pieces shuffle around, check, b takes a5. You cannot take back because then we have queen to c2 with a fork. So if you play something like this, then you're just lost. After moving the king to a3, we see the pieces moving again. And now slowly but surely the pawns will start rolling. Here Fischer plays a really smart move. He pins the knight and he also attacks the pawn. So after king moves, he takes the pawn. Now the pawns start marching up the board. You have to give away the knight for the pawn because otherwise we're just making another queen. So after knight takes, queen takes, I mean, this is a bit of a hopeless position for Keres. There's not much to do. The queen is way better than the rook and the two pawns here. This pawn will advance. So we take another pawn, check, king moves away, g4 pawn starts rolling. But after rook to c4, Fischer actually plays checkmate on the board with queen to e5, checkmate. I mean, honestly, I find it really amazing that Keres actually dared to give away his queen in round number 1 of this amazing tournament. So he's a really badass for that. I think this was an amazing game. In the next games, we will see how the candidates continue. If you like this video, please like, subscribe or comment. Thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.